All right, good evening, everybody. It is 4 o'clock on August 22nd, 2023, and maybe a day when we might get some rain. And we will call this City Council workshop to order. Shelley, do we have anyone to speak?
Yes, ma'am, we have two, Barbara Ferguson. Hello, I'm not sure whether I should speak at this point or under 3B, but right now? Okay. Well, I'm just here once again to encourage the city council as they go into discussions in executive session regarding the new stage 4 restrictions, that you will keep in mind that under state statutes, you are required to conform to the Headwaters stage 4 restrictions. And it's been, tomorrow it'll be 2 weeks since that was laid down, and the public has still not been notified as required by law. And I do hope that that's something that after you go into your discussions, that in the following meeting, it can be handled quickly and cleanly, and we can have that notice posted, and it'll be clear to all the citizens of what we need to do to help in this situation. There are so many people out there who are saying, what is going on? Are we stage 2? Are we stage 4? Because they're getting mixed messages from the city. And Headwaters has made it very clear, and they have the authority to do this, and there is no questions need to be asked about it. It's a done deal. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Tom Jones.
Y'all are short. I'll try to be real brief. I am the president. I'm Tom Jones, Headwaters of president, and wanted to just make sure that we clarified a few things here, just to get it out what took place and when. On August the 9th, we had a board meeting, and we removed the exception that we had previously given the city that gave them the authority to set their own drought stages. When we did that, we recognized that y'all have your conjunctive use permit and how much you have contributed to all of Kerr County. And I told Stuart more than once, y'all do a tremendous job. Water conservation, the different sources you got, the way you pull them all up together and everything. But so because of that, we added in here restrictions for the city of Kerrville. Due to the city of Kerrville's conjunctive use permit, they are not required to do the percentage reduction of groundwater production as listed in this plan's various drought stages. The plan requires the city to move into and initiate their drought stage notices to correspond with HGCD current drought stage. We're not asking you to change all of your rules. Now, I do understand that there's some complications in the way that y'all achieve getting into your different drought stages. That you will probably have to address. We didn't do this because y'all were doing a bad job. We did this because we monitor things differently than you do. We look at the river flow, we look at the Powell Drought Index, and the aquifer. Those are not things that are normally taken into consideration when y'all go into your drought stages. You have a very complex system in the way that you get to that. But it's not based off of water availability. It's based off of your usage versus consumption, or some weird combination thereof. Something I don't even quite understand, because I've never really dealt with it. But either way, because we got to that point, we felt we need to get the entire county back where it is. We do have the authority through our enabling legislation through the state of Texas to make this change. We granted that exception, I'm sure, probably 20 years ago when they first started getting into all of this. It was just time to change. We're in a severe, more extreme drought stage. They don't even have a higher category than what they show. We're it. It's time to make some change. And not to punish anybody, and not to say you've got ASR water that we're not letting you be entitled to, but that ASR water is pumped straight down into the lower Trinity aquifer, right? And so we're still measuring that on the other end. We know what's in there. And so to say that you've got 1 billion gallons of water available, well, you've got credit for that. But that doesn't mean it's there, because we're watching these aquifers drop and drop and drop and drop. And so we're strictly trying to be good conservationists at what we're doing and trying to make sure that the entire county is still going to be able to take full advantage of even the hard work y'all have done and what y'all do with your water system. My hat's off to what y'all do. Y'all do a fantastic job, Stuart. Managing that system's got to be a nightmare. But facts are still the facts. Effective August 9th, the entire county is in drought stage 4. And so we just would like y'all to project that properly. I noticed Bill Blackburn the other day posted something about seeing the difference in the pumping whenever you went to stage 2. Imagine the effect that could have had if you were where we were a year ago. Probably would have a lot higher water levels everywhere flowing. So please consider it strongly whenever you're doing it. But drought stage 4 is where the city of Kerrville is. You don't need an ordinance to pass that. That's done. And so we just wanted to come in and make sure that we reaffirm that so you can concentrate on the changes that you do need to make. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I think we are ready for 2A, Kerrville Economic Development Corporation update. Gil?
Mayor, members of the council, KEDC was selected by the Texas Economic Development Corporation as one of 4 cities that's being studied specifically for our work with the industry, education, and quarterly roundtable discussions that we've been having for the last 2 to 3 years. And this is a campaign that's being funded through the Economic Development Administration CARES Act program from right around the time when COVID started. And it's specifically designed to showcase stellar EDOs, which are economic development organizations in the country, using strategies for resiliency and sustainability. The site selection firm of Ernst & Young, they were in town here in the last month and a half, working on footage and content, interviewing a lot of people and stakeholders in the community, the business community, and they were filming as well. And then they hosted a series of podcast interviews. Some of those were at the Pint and Plow, which shows very, very well as far as Kerrville. And then they've showed us some of the preliminary marketing materials that they've had, and I will say that it looked very, very sharp. So again, I think sometime this fall, that's when we're going to start promoting those 4 communities. We're in the mix, and that's going to be nationally. The IEDC annual conference, that's the International Economic Development Council. Katie and myself, we're going to be attending that. That's going to be next month in Dallas. We're going to be attending also some appointed committee meetings as well. It's a 5-day conference full of workshops. Great place to network, keep up with some of the trends. As far as some of my duties as a past board member, I've got to mentor some of the young economic developers coming into the field. You can imagine that. So I've been asked to be part of a panel discussion on growing Latin communities in the Southwest, or Latinx. I didn't realize they changed the label. Suddenly I'm like, I didn't know what Latinx was in economic development.
What is Latinx? What is that?
I haven't figured it out. So it's interesting because I grew up as Hispanic, and then in college it was Latino, and
Well, it goes with Twitter, doesn't it? Because now that's X.
I'm not too sure. So no, I think it's kind of like the growing trend of, with minority groups and DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusivity. So now it's Latinx for
Okay.
Hispanics. So moving on to local project activity, Project Space Leaf. That is a manufacturer of space vehicle components. It's another company that we've been meeting with, and that was a result of our attendance at the International Aerospace Conference. And it's a company that's looking to do business in Texas, specifically to support the commercial space sector. Still very, very preliminary, but we're in a very good position as we're one of 5 communities that they're looking at in Texas. As far as aerospace leads, we are in constant communication with Mary Rohrer at the airport. She's been providing us an inventory of buildings and sites. There's been a lot of these projects require more than 100,000 square feet of space, up to 500,000 square feet of space. So we're working them all. Continue to send those leads to Mary and engage her and see what is a fit and which ones we have to pass on. Project 1954. That is a prospect that we hosted last month. It's a company that's looking for real estate in the Kerrville area, really in the Hill Country, specifically in an industrial area. They are a distributor of construction materials, $12 million in capital investment. It's about a 20,000 square foot facility. And what's interesting, it comes with an actual retail component, so it's a great opportunity for our community. Project Seafloor. We met with the entrepreneur that's here in the Hill Country. It's actually a retired engineer. He's in the offshore oil rig sector, and it's basically a metal fabrication operation for the energy sector to supply deep water oil rigs. They are going to be in need of welders and some engineers. Again, very preliminary, but we are at the moment looking for a space for that entrepreneur. And then Project Saddle, that is the advanced manufacturer of construction materials and components. It's new construction for Kerrville. They're looking at about 150,000 square foot facility, creating upward about 60 to 70 jobs, paying about 54,000 in annual wages. The prospect is going to be in town again this week. And when I say again, we've been working with them. We're going on 8 months now, and for the last 4 to 5 months, they've been here every week, which is a good thing typically in our field. They are going to be meeting with equipment suppliers, general contractors, all of the utility companies, some of the local vendors and suppliers as well. This is a company that's coming in from Latin America, and I'll have to get with Councilmember Herring on this, but I think it's the first foreign direct investment as far as industry is concerned here in the last, quite some time, so I'm trying to figure that one out. We are going to be scheduling some time next month at the state capitol to meet with Representative Murr and Senator Flores and their staff to give them an update on the project. They've been briefed on it already, and some of the other projects that we have, but as well as the chiefs of staff for the governor, the lieutenant governor, and the speaker of the House, as well as the Texas Workforce Commissioners, Brian Daniel and Aaron Demerson. And again, this is just part of the process, especially if we're going out there and it's a lead that came from the governor's office. So ultimately, we still have to go back and provide them that update, and it helps us when we're going to be applying for some of those state programs and incentives and trying to lure that company to Texas. A little side note, now that I mentioned the Workforce Commissioners, we've been hosting the Texas Workforce Commissioners here for the last 3 years. And as a result of that, Commissioner Aaron Demerson is going to have a Texas Workforce Commission meeting / workshop statewide in Kerrville. It's going to be in January or February, something like that, bringing a lot of people into the community. And again, that's just been our working with them with different projects, him coming in and saying, we have to do something in Kerrville. So with that, I will turn it over to Katie. She's got additional projects and what have you, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. Unless you want me to answer something right now.
Thank you for the written
Yep,
report.
thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Good afternoon, Mayor and council members. I'm excited to share my updates with you. The way that I've kind of organized them is by marketing, BRE initiatives, projects, and childcare. So I'll start with marketing and share with you that our aerospace and aviation leads connected us with a woman by the name of C.S. Freeland. She's the founder of the Texas Venture Alliance. And we are collaborating with them to host a Texas Venture Crawl that's coming up on October 6th at the Shriner University Trailhead. I included a little brochure in your pamphlet, and I hope that y'all will be able to attend and check out some of the cool things that we're doing in the venture ecosystem space. Through that connection, I was also connected with the Bernie-Kendall County Angel Network. They have angel investors that help to fund startup businesses. So it was really neat to see some of the things that they're working on, and they extended me a very gracious invite to their pitch event that they hosted in Bernie. One of the great things that I came away from that pitch event was there was a high school student who had just graduated from high school, and she went through a curriculum in the Bernie ISD that had to do with a business incubator. And her teacher was actually at the program, and so I've been able to connect with the teacher to learn more about that curriculum to see if it's something that we can bring to Kerr County. We have interviewed and engaged our keynote speaker for the Texas Venture Crawl on October 6th. I'm proud to announce that a gentleman by the name of Bob Jones is coming into town from Boston. He has his undergraduate from Princeton, and he has his MBA from MIT. He recently wrote a book that helps small startup business owners It's kind of a playbook that helps them avoid failing in the first 2 years. So he's going to be speaking on some very practical topics during his keynote at the October 6th event, and I'm really excited to introduce him to our community. For BRE initiatives, I had an opportunity to attend the ACOG final meeting of the I-10 corridor study. I'm happy to share with you guys those slides if you'd like to connect with me offline. I was also connected with Doug Dowler, who's a newcomer to Hondo Economic Development Organization. He reached out to me. They have a staff of 1. So he's looking to collaborate with neighboring communities and find out where there might be some synergistic efforts. Also was connected with Amy Story of the Bernie Economic Development Organization and received a warm welcome from her as well. For projects, as Gil mentioned, we have had several follow-up calls with an aerospace company that's considering coming to Kerrville, a nutraceutical manufacturing company that's looking to relocate their headquarters, potentially relocate their headquarters to Kerrville. We also had an interesting collaborative conference call with Mary at the airport about the possibility of having electric charging for electric planes and other electric type vehicles at the airport. We also spoke with a business owner who runs a regional air mobility business out of Austin. And we think that there could be some neat opportunities for bringing him into our airport. And also some follow-up meetings with an existing business in Kerrville that's looking to expand.
What is a nutraceutical manufacturing company? What do they do? What
If
is
I
it?
put it in my plain terms, which I'm sure that whoever came up with the word nutraceutical would disagree with, but it's old school, it's like vitamins. They're coming up with supplements that are like pharmaceuticals, but you don't need to sell in a pharmacy.
Okay.
Then on the childcare front, I had an opportunity to work with the Crocs consulting partner, Arthur Ally, to contribute to their community study that is considering childcare expansion through their future programming. And that concludes my report, and we're happy to take any questions.
What's BRE?
BRE stands for Business Retention and Expansion.
Thank you.
Yep.
Katie, was there anything from the I-10 meeting that stands out that you would want to share with us?
From the I-10 study, there were a couple things that I thought were valuable that I took away. One is that it's a multi-year project, so it's still several years down the road before it comes to our community. 2, they're doing it in a very planned and timed approach. They're addressing different sections of I-10 at different times. So one of the assignments that we were meant to do during our workshop was to vote on which sections of I-10 should be worked on first and which sections should be worked on later. And they gave us a whole bunch of information that we needed to take into consideration to make that determination. And the last valuable thing that I took away from that I-10 study was I was able to connect with the gentleman at the DOT who is involved in this study and asked if he would be willing to come to our community and speak with our leaders and our business owners about how this I-10 plans could affect our community and what we need to be prepared for. And he graciously said yes, and so now the next steps will be following up with him to find a mutually convenient time.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
So in one of those meetings, not related to I-10, but it was more of a side note. And you all might know this already, but San Antonio is starting, the process of looking at a third loop. And there's several scenarios there. And I mean, these are 20 to 30 years out. So, don't be surprised if it ends up being pretty close to where we're at.
We'll also have flying cars by then, so.
Charging stations and everything.
Working on bringing those into the airport.
Okay. All right, thank you, guys. Anybody, questions for them? Any comments?
Thank you both. Thank you.
All right, keep doing your good work. We appreciate it.
Mayor, several members of my family have texted that it's raining.
Yes.
Oh, we've got to go out. We've got to go out.
You got the back door.
Oh, amen, amen. Let's hope it lasts for a while. Golly gee. Okay, I think, unless there's anything else, we're ready for executive session. Would someone like to make that motion? And,
We have an EIC report, or CIP report.
That's right.
oh, we do, that's right, I overlooked it, okay. I got too excited about rain.
I said brief, but you need to read it in and forget. So I will let you go here shortly. Just want to give you a brief update on a few projects. Two of them you have going before you in the regular meeting tonight. That's, the first one is identified as number 1 on our sheet. That's the street maintenance, base repair, crack seal. Wanted to kind of highlight that for you because yes, that's our typical, it's our year 4 list, but we also added in Clay Street as approval consideration tonight. Cuts and K-Pub are doing all that work. What we want to do is make sure that we, do our street maintenance component, that, beautification piece. So before you tonight will be the, the regular list in addition to the change order. And then we will get going on that, hopefully wrap up about mid-October, come back behind that and slurry over most of those in that list. Second one I want to mention is Westminster. If you recall, we kind of split that into 2 phases with East Main splitting it. The northern portion between First and Main is actually utilities complete. They're starting to pour the curb this week, and it'll be done in a couple of weeks. The second phase, they're wrapping up the utilities. So as soon as that concrete contractor is done on the northern portion, they'll proceed to the second phase. And as soon as the first one's done, then they'll come in with the paving crew. So we're still looking about mid-October timeframe. Nothing's really changed. Just wanted to give you a quick update. I know that's received several questions throughout the duration of that project. So, public safety facility, staff is currently reviewing the first set of official submittal schematic plans. We plan to have the design build team come before you on September 12th with a lot more detail, and so fingers crossed everything matches up well with the budget, and we'll bring that before you for just a progress update. The wastewater line is out of the way. That contractor's done, so we're ready to go with the building. The facility condition assessment, that's the one, if you recall, you had authorized in the budget to come in and look at the Callow Theater, City Hall, all these city facilities, and we received 3 proposals. The committee is reviewing things and for the qualification statements, and we plan on September 12th bringing the rankings before you, and that way October 1 we are ready to go and doing the assessment and getting a actual maintenance plan laid out before staff, so we can go through the budget and see what Julie can fit in. So, real quickly, the last thing I wanted to mention was the other item going to council tonight is the FEB lift station. If you recall Stuart's presentation, we had some significant damage on that lift station. It's the bypass pump that's operating 24/7. This is going to be the full replacement out at the wastewater plant. So we've got those bids. That's going tonight, and we're going to hopefully have that wrapped up here in a few months. So, any questions?
Just to confirm, the flow equalization basin lift station is at the wastewater treatment plant, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's near the big ditch when you open, not or when you walk through, not the one that's racetrack, as Stuart and some of the others mentioned it, that operates full all the time. This is more that as it says, flow equalization.
Didn't recognize the name when I was going through the agenda, so thank you. I remember now, but.
And the TxDOT, that's TxDOT that's actually working on the Lois Street on the north side, right?
No, that is, you're talking about for, right there by Security Bank. That is our contractor on the NAP lift station project. So
Oh,
that's
no, not by security.
Okay, which
No,
one?
the one by Lois Street.
By Lois on the drainage. So
Yes.
that's not TxDOT yet. That's
Oh, I
Atmos.
got excited.
Don't get too hopeful, but that is progress, because that is Atmos getting their utilities out of the
Okay,
way.
it's Atmos,
Then we have to
okay.
come through with that NAP project, and then TxDOT will
Then,
lower theirs.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good, good. Okay, any other questions, council?
I have one on the public safety facility. That one's now, the construction completion date, estimated completion is now in early '25 instead of late '24. Why, have they told us it's probably gonna be later than they expected, or what, do we know if there's a specific reason why it's been pushed?
A lot of it is the procurement of materials.
Okay.
We're gonna look at bringing a kind of an MEP early work package. If you recall how this design build works, they're gonna be bringing potential 2 or 3 packages before you The last we heard, and I don't recall exactly which electrical component it was a 460-day lead time. They're gonna work with the suppliers to try to get that down. So we're, staying optimistic that we're still shooting for the, late '24, but gonna be a little bit more realistic and say early '25 before we get all the, the little things out of the way for dispatch and IT to be fully operational.
Okay. And then on number 17, the River Trail extension for downtown, says that we're still in progress for the easement acquisition. How, if at all, have we progressed from the last time we've gotten a report in terms of getting those easements?
I'm trying to think of the last time we discussed this. So there has been a lot of conversations. We've got the kind of the wish list from a few, and Megan and Ashley are working through finalizing that with Mr. Hayes' office. I think Megan is assisting him in getting some of those items that are needed into the actual easement document. So hopefully, now the one that we still have to discuss is TxDOT. Apparently there's an existing, but it's old. We're trying to find the details of what that actually entails. That's hopefully into this month, into next, and then we'll be ready for bid on that one.
All right, thank you. And the last one on 22, the Calhoun Theater improvements. There's a note there that says that the project phasing and cost feasibility are currently being evaluated. Do we have a good price on what that's going to look like? Because I know it's on our regular meeting agenda for later tonight.
Right,
as part of
and
that
if you
bond.
recall in the joint workshop, I believe Ashley had plugged in 3 or 4.
So we have
Four
four
Yeah.
plugged in. It
Right.
was August of '22 when we got the numbers from Mr. Lewis's firm, who was the architect that was selected for it. So it was 2.9
Okay.
at that point, and that was a 3-phased process if it was done over probably 3 years. So we've been talking about it. The obvious interest increases in pricing from then to now. So
We're estimating around 4 is what the,
well, we're really hopeful that it's going to be
Well, sure.
significantly less than that,
but
but
just,
as a buffer
you want to give
for
some contingency
is
there.
what we have placed in there. And so that also does envision that it's over 3 years. If there's a way that we can, the estimated construction schedule is 4 months for that project. But I think we want to make sure we balance the logistics of the construction with the practicality of closing it down for 4 months straight. And, trying to be mindful of that. So as we get further along in that discussion, we'll continue to talk with the theater about kind of the best approaches, and we'll bring back our options for consideration.
Okay, thank you. That's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Anybody else? All right, so now we are ready for executive session, I believe, and would someone like to make that motion?
That we go into executive session for items 3A and 3B, that being section numbers 551.071 and 551.087. And council, I just want to, I'll end my motion there, but council, I want to raise that for item 3B, just council can only go into executive session to seek or receive attorney's advice or legal matters. We cannot have general discussions of policy that's unrelated to legal matters just because our attorney is present with us there. So I just want to say that if council begins discussing matters outside of that provision while we're in executive session, I will request that we come back downstairs and discuss at an open session or hold that for the regular meeting as required by the Texas Open Meetings Act.
Do we have a second to that motion?
Of course, second.
Thank you. All in favor, right hand, please. And we will, at 4:29, recess upstairs for executive session. We need to recess out of executive session. We do not have anything to report, and so we will close the workshop at 6:02